Good morning. I'm Nancy Creed, President of the Springfield Regional Chamber, and I am here to grab a cup of coffee with Carol Campbell, President and CEO of Chicopee Industrial Contractors. Good morning, Carol. How are you?
Good morning, Nancy. I'm fine with you. Nice to spend
Cheers.
some time with coffee. Cheers.
Nice to see you this morning. So thanks for popping in to our little coffee chat this morning. Appreciate it. Just wanted to have a little bit of a conversation about you, Chicopee Industrial Contractors, and maybe a look back at over the year, if that's okay with you.
Well, it's just a wonderful year to look back on.
So tell me a little bit, first of all, about Chicopee Industrial Contractors and what you folks do in Chicopee.
So Chicopee Industrial Contractors will actually be 29 years old on February 28th. So we're coming up to our 29th birthday. Pretty excited about that. So we are an industrial contracting firm, of course, hence the name. But we primarily work with installing production machinery and moving production machinery. And basically what that means is we work in the manufacturing sector, and when something big comes in and it needs to be installed, we're the ones to do it. We also provide, that's the rigging part of us. We also provide millwrights, which is the mechanical part. We have transportation. We have our own tractors and trailers and forklifts from 2-ton to 75 tons. So if it's big, we can move it. So.
Well, congratulations on 29 years. That's terrific.
Thank you. Thank you. We're pretty proud.
And especially in what I think is traditionally a male-dominated world.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I would say in the beginning, when I first started, I was the only female in the room. I learned to wear pinstripes very well and to blend and try to talk. And believe it or not, I did blend. And for years, I tried to talk. Nobody wanted to listen. So now I do have a voice. And but yes. And nicely, greatly, I guess, other women have been able to come up and come through, and there are some really strong women in the industry. But 29 years ago, I think there were 3 or 4 of us that I knew in the area that were working in the male-dominated industry.
What was it like the real truth?
So the real truth was I would go into a room and I was just there. It was. And never in my life have I just kind of blended, but I didn't really blend. I really wasn't seen. And I was, everything was Mrs. and, where's my husband? And phone calls, Mr. Campbell. Right now in the office, if someone calls and asks for Mr. Campbell, they usually don't get very far in this office because they're not. But I was always asked, certainly, where my husband was or where the boss was. And my employees were sometimes thought of on job sites as my boss. So, but fortunate, I've always had a great team, and there's been great respect between give and take between us. And so they have always made it very clear. I could say who wears pants, but who the boss who the boss is. But that's not the kind of organization we're running. So we're very much a team. We work together. And do I think it's changed? Which I think would be your follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just do this interview now. Do I think it's changed? I think it was starting to change a lot. I will say the last 4 or 5 years, I think with what's happened in the environment politically, not to go political on this, but that it was getting there was a little more male dominance coming through, but now I just have my voice. I just talk. So
how have you been able to navigate that though? Because it is not easy when people don't necessarily see you when you come into the room.
So no one ever told me as a kid. So I guess I have to congratulate my parents on this. Nobody ever told me that I couldn't do it. So it just never dawned. I mean, it dawned on me that people weren't talking to me, but it never dawned on me to take my toys and go home. I was raised in an athletic environment. My father was a football coach, and so you never took your ball and went home until there was nobody else on the playing field. So I just kept doing it, and I had I had a drive and a desire. I don't like to fail. I don't like to lose. I just kept going and found some good allies and good organizations. I have to say, a lot of support with, and my customers believed in me. So I remember having to change a project leader from a male to a female in the beginning. Well, actually, I was taking over a project for a male that was leaving. And I remember my customer, and he was from Chicago, the Chicago area, saying, I really don't care who manages this, as long as you do it as well as it's always been done and you continue to do it that way. And so that's been our focus, is to give the best, highest quality that we can give, and that our goal is to exceed the customer's expectations. Sounds like a marketing tagline, but it really is how we live life. So,
Well, and it obviously has worked because you've been in business for almost 29 years.
almost
So
29
you're doing
years.
something right, Carol.
And I remember when we hit 5, and then I remember when we hit 10. I was like, oh my God. So, yeah, sadly. So I did start, I was in diapers, just so it's known here that how young I was when I started. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
When you look back over those 29 years, was there a moment when you were like, yep, I've done this?
No. And I still can't say that now. So, I mean, yes, of course, I know that I've done it. I know that I've been here. But, between the economy and there's always something. So you think you're going along and everything's great, and then wham, a recession. You think you're going along and everything's great, and oh my God, COVID. Who would have thought? So I think back to a year, just about a year ago this time, it was the end of February, we had a little bit of talk was going on about what was happening. We had our year-end party we had to postpone because we'd had some employees out ill in January. Our thought is they probably did have COVID. And we had another employee that had a baby. So we decided to wait and do our normal year-end party at our kind of anniversary, which would have been our 28th anniversary. Knowing that things were happening, we had made a deposit into profit sharing, so really the market dropped within 2 weeks, so
Mm-hmm.
but who would have thought? And so at that time we were coasting along fine, and so I thought everything was good. Well enough that when COVID stopped us, I had made the decision that we weren't going to lay off. I knew we weren't going to lay off. It's hard talking about it a year later, but this was before PPP. It was before anything. But I knew that we weren't going to lay off because I had made that mistake in the recession, and I had laid people off because I thought it was the right thing for them. If you remember back, Obama was paying for health care. President Obama, I say that with great respect. And I thought it was the right thing for them, but for them, it was like a loss of confidence from their employer. So I knew that with COVID, I was not laying off, and we did not. And so we made a commitment of how we would handle a downturn, which was, well, I thought another downturn. But a couple, 3 weeks, we'll be fine. Not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case.
Yeah, almost a year later.
Almost a year later. Almost a year later. And thank goodness for PPP. So we were one of the early ones on the PPP. As I said, we did not lay off, but we used the PPP money for the good of for the benefit of the employees and of course the company by doing in-house training. And so, as I said in February, when I saw that things were going bad, this makes it sound like I could foresee what was happening, but I really could not. But I had purchased some online training in both the technical skills, soft skills, and hard skills, soft skills, and technical safety skills. And so I figured during our couple of weeks that we were going to be dealing with this little thing they were calling COVID-19, that we would just do some training, some in-house training. And so that's what we did for months, for months and
Mm-hmm.
months. But but came out. So everybody came out with more, and that was my promise to the workforce and to all the employees that we would not lay off. We would be stronger and better. Um, and we are. And so actually during a down year, which was a tough year, certainly our sales were down as most people's were. Our employees did not suffer that. Not
That's terrific. Would you say that's a leadership lesson that you were able to take from the recession and apply it here and do the little things differently?
well, that's very well put. Yes, I will say that. Yes, thank you.
Well, I'm so glad I said that for you, Carol.
Yes, yes. I'm going to write that down because I may use it again. Yes.
And
Yeah.
looking at the year, was there someone like, did you have someone you could turn to when you just got too tired? I think everyone has had moments when they're like, God, I just don't know if I can keep going.
So I belong to a couple of very good organizations that have forums, CEO forums, and one is the Women's President's Organization. And so there was we would meet monthly, and it was all non-competing CEOs, which for me served almost as a board of like a board of directors without the problems of a board of directors. But so I would say that certainly has helped me over the years. I've belonged to them for years and years. But I've also found I'm lucky, which I include you in it. I have a strong network of women women executives that I kind of feel that I can do a give and take on, and so I sometimes feel that I'm being mentored when someone's not even sure they're mentoring me, or maybe don't realize they're mentoring, because I think mentoring is a two-way street. It's you can give as much as you can get, and so I've always been one that picked up the phone or an email. We have great strong leaders in our area. So no one that I can say I had to call because of this, but a lot that I did call because of this.
Hmm.
And
Makes
over.
sense. And what advice would you give the next generation of female leaders now that you've been through all of this and had a successful 29 years? What would you tell them?
So well, I would always advise people to first of all find what you love and do find your passion. And if you find your passion, then it's not work. And so I basically love to come to work every day. I love what I do. And I've told my employees this since the day I started. You gotta like what you do. You don't have to like it every day. There are days you may not want to come in. I mean, we are only human. But if you don't love what you do, you're in the wrong field. And so I would say to young women that don't look at it as a job. And I know that sounds kind of, don't look at it as a job, look at it as a career, but look at it as something that is a passion that you want to do. And from that, you can expand out. So I have always, I love my job, but I'm pretty active in a lot of organizations. And so what I don't get in my job, I get from the organizations that I'm involved with. I sometimes say, organizations, when you're volunteering, they have to tell you you're doing a good job. Your work, they don't have to tell you you're doing a good job. So, and that's why I volunteer so much.
And clearly it's working because you shared a social media post the other day with the snowstorm that you gave all your employees the option of coming to work or not, and they all did.
I know. Isn't that amazing? And I said, I went up to one of them. Actually, he's been with me for 29 years. So he started with us. And I said, I'm just so impressed. I have to tell you, because, I mean, I worked remotely, but, but I still work. And I said, so his comment was, Carol, the work had to get done. So, of course, we're going to come. And I was like, yeah, I mean, and that's why we're as good as we are, I think, because they take pride in what they do. They don't just go in and pick up a machine, put it on a forklift, and put it someplace else. They want to hear from that customer that they've done a good job. So I'm very fortunate. We're a small little company, so it's like a family. Um, and family's good and bad, but and when push comes to shove, everybody here has everybody's back.
Well, congratulations again on 29 years. And I thank you so much for joining me for coffee this morning.
Thank you. We should do this
Appreciate
again
it.
and more often. Yes. Thank
And
you.
congratulations again. And we look forward to your 30th year.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Carol.